moment. I feel like she's here with us. I feel like she can see this. So thank you, Virginia, for all that you've done for all of us.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage your press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, of the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now, who were girls at the time, who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to a minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
Good morning. My name is Annie Farmer, and this is a photo of me and my sister Maria Farmer. Around the time I was 16 and she was 25. That's how old we were when we were abused by Epstein and Maxwell. Survivors have repeatedly stated that our pursuit of transparency and justice is a nonpartisan issue. But given the political noise surrounding this case, I just want to remind people of some of the facts. In 1996, when my sister Maria bravely blew the whistle on this group by reporting to the FBI what Epstein and Maxwell did to both of us, they hung up on the phone on her, and there was no follow-up of any kind. Bill Clinton was president. In 2006, the FBI came to us, finally interviewed us, and asked us both to be witnesses against Epstein. We were very anxious, but we agreed. And then we didn't hear back from them due to their infamous sweetheart deal. George W. Bush was president. In 2015, when the DOJ was sent FOIA requests for Maria's FBI files, and they were denied, as they have been many times, Barack Obama was president. In 2019, when Epstein died in prison due to either negligence or foul play, Donald Trump was president. In 2023, Maria's attorneys sent a letter on her behalf to the government, requesting an investigation into the repeated law enforcement failures in this case, similar to what was done in the case of Larry Nassar. They declined to do so. Consequently, my sister filed notice that she would be suing the government for failing to uphold its legal, ethical, and moral duties in this case. Joe Biden was president. This year, after campaigning on a pledge to finally release the files, under Trump's second presidency, the DOJ announced they were closing the investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators, and then transferred Ghislaine Maxwell into a prison camp, where it is well documented that she is receiving special treatment. This is not an issue of a few corrupt Democrats or a few corrupt Republicans. This is a case of institutional betrayal. Because these crimes were not properly investigated, so many more girls and women were harmed. My sister, because of her bravery, was repeatedly threatened and lived in fear, with dire consequences for her health and her career. 30 years later, even as oceans of allegations and obvious truths have emerged, the government has still not chosen transparency. This is why we have all come together as one united voice to demand the release of all the Epstein files and to finally bring the truth out of the shadows.
And I just want to remind the President and the Attorney General that they are right now in violation of the law. And when the president makes his speech tonight, he is going to know that looking back at him will be numerous survivors of Epstein's abuse, and that he is facilitating the single largest cover-up in modern American history. It's the single largest cover-up in modern American history. And who are we protecting? Why are we protecting powerful, wealthy, connected men? Why are we protecting billionaires from justice? Because we're always going to center the survivors. The single most important part of our investigation and what we're guided by is justice for Annie. It's justice for Maria. It's justice for so many that have been wronged, harmed, and terrorized by not just Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but by the co-conspirators and all that helped them commit their abuse. Let's be clear, over 50% of the files have still not been released to the public. And we know as early as just today and yesterday, there are numerous files that we have confirmed that are missing from the DOJ that we know exist, including accusations, and serious accusations, not just against the president, but against others. It's time to release the files. It's time to center their survivors. And the president should know that even though he wants to call this a hoax, that our investigation is just getting started.
Thank you so much, Congressman Garcia. Your leadership has meant so much to myself and to so many of us. The government's original sin in this case was not following up in any way on my sister, Maria Farmer's 1996 report to the FBI about Epstein and Maxwell and the powerful circle that surrounded them. Since that time, the girls and women who were abused by these criminals have been repeatedly neglected and re-victimized by our own government. The recent release of materials highlights this, as the names of many powerful individuals remain redacted, while the names, personal data, and even images, nude images, of many victims were released. Rather than apologize for this failure, this DOJ has doubled down on denial and distraction. We are tired of the games. When those we elect to office misuse their positions, it harms us all. We are here to remind our elected leaders and other Americans that there is always a choice. You can sit by and watch the abuse of power, as so many wealthy, educated, connected individuals did in the Epstein case. Or you can do the right thing, the courageous thing. You can speak out the way my sister Maria Farmer did because of her concern for her younger sisters. You can speak out the way Virginia Roberts Giuffre did after she looked down and saw her daughter and knew she deserved safety and protection. I know that courage is contagious because these women inspired me to find my voice. And the more I have used it, the more I have heard from others who are speaking out about their own experiences of abuse and standing with us in demanding true transparency, the whole truth that survivors and the American people deserve. Thank you. I think it was about, not even a week ago maybe, that I was sitting in a TV studio hearing some men talk about what this next legislative process entailed and how it was really incredibly unlikely that we would ever make it to pass this point. Maybe we get the votes we needed in the House. And so I just think that the fact that we are here with a nearly unanimous vote today says so much, and that we are really about the power of people coming together and the power of women coming together. So I want to also express my gratitude to all the people standing here behind us. We have not been heard for so long, and I think the power of being heard and being recognized and being validated is incredibly healing. So thank you so much. you know, there are so many people that are with me in my heart today, and I've spoken quite a bit today about my sister Maria Farmer, who, you know, was a whistleblower who bravely spoke out in 1996 against Epstein, and I had the chance to speak with her right before coming here today about what I had seen transpire, and she, you know, is at home because of health problems that I believe were very directly related to the stress that all this caused. But she was full of joy hearing about what's happened and hearing that we are so close to being where we need to be to finally bring the light into the darkness of this case. But I, of course, am also thinking about others in this case, and we know that the harms that are caused by these types of traumas have long-lasting results, right? And there are people that are no longer with us, in part due to the trauma that they suffered because of this case. One of those women I've been thinking of today is Carolyn Adriano, who spoke out so bravely in the Maxwell trial, which I know as a witness in that case was an extremely stressful experience. And after that, she lost her life to, you know, I think, you know, issues related to just the stress of all the trauma that she had been through in her life. And I think that's what people, you know, sometimes don't understand about the lasting effects of these types of crimes. And, you know, I've had the opportunity, the great privilege of my life as a psychologist to work with, you know, people who have been victims of these types of crimes in all different settings. One of the most transformative experiences of my life was working with Native Alaskan women in rural Alaska, Yupik women, where there are very high rates of child sexual abuse and exploitation. And, you know, what I saw from them in terms of the courage and resilience and moving forward really inspired me, you know, long before, you know, I had ever spoken out in this case, right? And since then, doing therapy with women, I've seen so much of how the long-lasting impacts of these things. And so I am thinking about so many women as I am here today. And most of all, you know, I am thinking,
it's all right,
about Virginia Roberts Giuffre. We would not be here without her. There is no doubt in my mind about that. And, you know, I very much, I think, like many people, you know, there were fights going on. There were definitely women that had, you know, worked so hard for so long for justice, but I had, you know, given up on the idea that anything would happen in this case. After the Sweetheart deal, I felt like everyone knew about Epstein. We would see things in tabloids about Epstein. This was not a secret, right? And when I first saw the photo of Virginia in Prince Andrew, I was at my job. I remember so clearly the moment that it popped up on my computer screen, and I just kind of was taken aback. And I just immediately knew the truth behind that photo, and I felt the bravery of this woman who was taking on the world with this story and was being met with such contempt and disrespect. And, you know, at a time, you know, before the Me Too movement, when there was this kind of attitude of disregard for people that spoke out in this way. And it was a short time later that I was contacted by an attorney and told about her defamation suit, and spoke with my sister, and we agreed that we would be witnesses in that case. When we had no desire, we thought this was behind us, but we thought if this woman is brave enough to take on Maxwell and to bring this into the light, we have to stand with her. And then, you know, I had the opportunity to meet Virginia in 2019, and seeing her in this, you know, this insane group of reporters, everyone mobbing, you know, and she just had this poise and this strength that I felt like it was incredible to see. It was incredible to be witness to. She immediately rallied all of us together and had this vision for what could happen, what people could learn from this, what she wanted to do with this platform, and push that forward in such a brave way. And I think the fact that her memoir has just been released as a bestseller, and we are here today, is not a coincidence. She is changing hearts and changing minds, all over this country and all over the world. And so I just want to, take a moment. I feel like she's here with us. I feel like she can see this. So thank you, Virginia, for all that you've done for all of us.